The defending champions living up to their name, France are the first team to qualify for the knockout stage in Qatar. Welcome to our daily World Cup show where we're going to go through all the action from today's 4 games together with our team on the ground in Doha. Joining me here in Paris is Karim Balde. Karim, feeling pretty good and perhaps a little relieved tonight?
Yes, exactly, because we expected France to win and to qualify for the round 16, and they did it in such a great manner.
In a graceful way. Well, here's a look from today's results from across the board. Argentina also with a win, their first one for them, as Poland and Australia also joined them with clean sheets. But first up then, France make it 2 wins in a row after beating Denmark 2-1. Let's head straight to Doha, where Selina Sykes was following that game for us, where one man was once again at the centre of it all, as he very often is.
Kylian Mbappe is once again the man of the hour for France as he gets 2 goals to make Les Bleus the first team to qualify for the knockout stages at this World Cup. The first goal came just after the hour mark. He was set up by Theo Hernandez. It didn't take long for the Danes to respond though. Christensen scored the equaliser with a header from a corner. Mbappe wasn't going to leave it there though. He made it 2-1 in the 86th minute. He was set up by Antoine Griezmann. That's 3 goals now for Mbappe at this World Cup and 31 in total in a French shirt. That is the same landmark as Zinedine Zidane, and all of that at just 23 years old. He's once again one of the emerging standout stars at this World Cup. That's 3 points for France now. They would have been disappointed with a draw. They were the more attacking and dominant side overall in this game. They can now take maybe a slight breather before they face Tunisia in their final group game. It's never easy to come to a World Cup as the holders. The last 4 European teams to come back to the World Cup as the reigning champions have crashed out at the group stages, but France have bucked the trend.
Karim, indeed, you never know really what it's going to go like when you actually step onto the pitch. France this time, I was going to say, conquering the dark horses, but Denmark are not France's dark horse. They're more than that. They're a real strong opponent, aren't they?
Yes, exactly. And we saw it during the last opposition between France and Denmark, especially last June in the Nations League, when Denmark beat France twice in a row. And we see all the results of the last games. The draw, obviously, scoreless draw at the 2018 World Cup as well, even if that was a third game, match day 3 of the group stage, and so France was already qualified for the round of 16. But still, Denmark has such a good opposition with great players. Christian Eriksen, for example, he was quiet tonight, to be honest. And they have Christensen as well. He scored the header to equalize for Denmark. So each time we see that they have such a good opposition and they put so many problems into the face of France. But that time, that was good. And that's why it is good for France, because they struggle against them, but they beat them. And that's the bottom line of tonight's action.
And you can see you have to go all the way back to a friendly from years back to actually see France win. So very, very impressive. A few missed opportunities for Kylian Mbappe tonight. Yeah. But again, he gets the win for them. It shows why he's the player he is. Clearly one of the best in the world right now.
Yes, without Karim Benzema, without Sadio Mane, Kylian Mbappe is, in my opinion, the best player in this World Cup 2022. He has all the qualities, quick, he's powerful, and every defender, every opponent is scared in front of Kylian Mbappe. We see each time he speeded up, each time the defenders are going backwards. You know, they don't know what to do.
It rattles them, whatever happens. Yeah. You can see he's going for that. And at that point, it kind of think, well, they've got to come up with something immediately, and you'd always have the 2 defenders going straight onto him.
Yes, exactly. And that's normal. At their place, I would be scared as well. When you see that Kylian Mbappe tonight, he scored 31 goals for France. It is as much as Zinedine Zidane, who was a legend, who is a legend in the French national team, obviously world champion back in 1990. But Kylian Mbappe is only 23. It seems that he is here forever because he played, I think, his 6th or 7th season as a professional player. But he's so powerful, and we don't know where is the limit. Sky is the limit. We don't know for Kylian Mbappe.
It does feel like he's been around for much, much longer, doesn't it? The talent is huge. People here in France clearly holding him up very, very high up in their esteem. Emerald Maxwell was alongside some supporters at a bar here in Paris tonight.
The atmosphere was electric in this sports bar in Paris tonight, which was packed with France fans, all on tenterhooks for what was actually quite a tight match against Denmark. It was a very excitable crowd, but in the end, they got the result they wanted. They were delighted by the win they'd all hoped for.
There was an awesome vibe. Everybody was very motivated. We were also very responsive. We were expecting a lot from Les Bleus today, and they did not disappoint us.
Honestly, the 2 goals of Mbappe were exquisite, but on the other hand, we got a little scared. Denmark pulled some good moves, but we will have faith till the end.
Without any hesitation, the best player of the game was Dembélé. His passes, his dribbles, it was a treat. It's so nice to celebrate that around France. It's incredible.
France faces Tunisia next on Wednesday, but whatever the result of that, tonight's 2-1 win means that France is through to the final 16.
Game, France almost certain then to finish at the top of their group as they go towards that game against Tunisia.
Yeah.
The squad's clearly, I think we can say at this point, doing more than well considering the amount of injuries and the worries that there were coming into the World Cup.
Yes, exactly. There were so many question marks before the competition because of those injuries. Paul Pogba and N'Golo Kanté in the midfield, there were big blows for France, but we saw tonight Adrien Rabiot, what a game and what a tournament so far for Adrien Rabiot in the midfield, and as well as Aurélien Tchouaméni from Real Madrid, because he is calm, he knows how to play, and he's consistent. They are consistent. They are all consistent in that team. It's hard to find some bad points in this French team. We tried together before coming to the air.
What are the negatives that we can perhaps try and pick out from here tonight?
Yeah, it's hard to find, but maybe about the defensive side, because they conceded a goal for the second game in a row in this World Cup, and we saw sometimes they lack a little bit of concentration, but that's enough to concede goal, and especially against those teams such as Denmark, because they try to use every opportunity to score against you. So maybe that's the bad side, a little bit of the French national team, but for now, in my opinion, they are one of the favorites in this World Cup as defending champion, and from what we saw tonight and during the game versus Australia.
One of the less good sides, because we're having to just try and find one to try and analyse that, having a proper look at this. After a disastrous start, meanwhile, not for France, but losing to Saudi Arabia, well, Argentina have managed to return to winning ways. Lionel Messi taking some of the nerves out for his side after he managed to drill in an opening goal in the 64th minute before Fernandes then doubled that lead just before half-time. Let's go over to our sports editor, Simon Harding, now, who's at the game. Simon, it's a win for Argentina, but really, this is a massive weight off their shoulders. Once again, Lionel Messi setting them free from what was somewhat a scrappy win tonight.
A very tense game right up until Lionel Messi has scored that wonderful strike, and it's no surprise that Argentina's talismanic captain, once again, as he has so often does throughout his career, comes to their rescue. The goal, but also the assist for Enzo Fernandez. So Lionel Messi always at the heart of everything. He seems to walk around the pitch for most of the match, but then when he gets those legs going, he just seems absolutely unstoppable. He's scored his 8th goal at the World Cup finals. He equals perhaps the greatest Argentinian of all time, Diego Maradona, in that respect. But more than anything, as you mentioned, he keeps the dream alive for Argentina. He keeps his personal dream alive of finally lifting the World Cup trophy. It's the only major trophy that Lionel Messi is missing, and you do get the sense that perhaps Argentina are kick-starting into life.
Maybe this is the start, just a slight delayed start for them. Simon, so of course we know the goal scorer that he is and the place that he occupies within the team. It's so 2 goals in 2 games, which is good news, as you say, for them now. But what's Argentina going to look like should he be unable to play at some points?
Well, that's the big question, and I think it's a concerning question for Lionel Scaloni and for all Argentina as supporters, because Lionel Messi is the one who's really creating everything and scoring the goals. Enzo Fernandez is a very young talent from Benfica, but he's a midfielder, and it's a real moment of magic if you look at his goal, the way he curled it past Guillermo Ochoa, but he's not going to be able to do that every game. I think Lautaro Martinez of Inter Milan, Julian Alvarez of Manchester City, they're all players that really need to step up, because Messi is 35 and he's not going to be able to dig his country out week in, week out, day in, day out, the way he's doing it at the moment. There were still defensive frailties. Mexico, for 45 minutes, really frustrated the Argentina side. Angel Di Maria, perhaps one of the few who took the game to the Central Americans, but in the second half, Mexico just really let off the pressure. They were unable to mount a serious challenge to search for an equalising goal and were punished once again with Fernandez's strike. And moving forwards, just talking about Mexico very briefly, it leaves them in a very delicate position to qualify, almost impossible. What is for sure is that they're going to have to beat Saudi Arabia, whereas Argentina, to make sure that they go top as well, need to beat Poland.
Karim, Simon asking the question there, whether this could be just, like a delayed start for Argentina. Do you think, based on where they are now, do things look good for them going ahead tonight?
It is a good question because it is quite impressive to see how quickly they lost all their certainties. We just have to say that Argentina was, before the World Cup, on an incredible streak, like 34 or 35 games without losing. And then there was this catastrophe in Saudi Arabia, and everything just vanished. And we saw 5 changes in the starting 11 from the coach Lionel Scaloni before this game against Mexico. But when you look at the game, there was Messi, Enzo Fernandez, but what else? Finally, maybe Di Maria, as Simon said, but you don't have those powerful belief in you, and they lost it. And I'm not sure if they can take it back or not before the end of the competition. We hope that it will go as far as possible, but still, I'm not convinced. And the third and match day 3 in this group will be quite tight, in my opinion. So it will play on also on the head of players.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken a little bit of the nerves out for them today, but nothing's really set in stone yet. There's they need more than that.
I will wait a little bit.
Well, the group's other game saw Poland beat Saudi Arabia then 2-0. A special day for a veteran of the game, another one. Robert Lewandowski, who scored his first ever World Cup goal. Yes, you did hear that right. It ended what clearly seems like some kind of curse for the Polish striker. Simon, the joy on Lewandowski's face. Clearly, from what we could see over here, it had been bubbling inside him for this whole time. And it wasn't just him. The whole team, the whole Polish team, jumping on top of him after he scored that second goal.
Yeah, it's a very significant moment for Robert Lewandowski, who, as we know, over the last decade has been possibly the best out-and-out striker in the world. All the frustration going out of his body when he scored the goal after missing a penalty as well against Mexico in the opening match of the group for him personally. 4 games without a goal at the World Cup for Robert Lewandowski. He actually burst out in tears just to show you the release of emotion that there was there, and Poland able then to capitalise on the game and make it a 2-0 victory after Zielinski scored in the first half. So a very good result for Poland, who take on Argentina in their last match. It's a match where if they avoid defeat, then they will go through the group being undefeated, which is a massive and significant achievement for them. And I'd just like, James, very quickly to touch back on what you were saying just now about Argentina. Their unbeaten run, as Karim was saying, 36 games, winners of the Copa America. But what we've seen in this World Cup, there are the scars of what we saw 4 years ago in Russia and the chaos in the camp and that lack of ability, that lack of cohesion throughout the team. And Argentina, against a team like Poland, are going to have to be cohesive, because Poland, one of the best defences in the tournament, still to concede. They've been very rugged, they're hard, but they know how to defend. They've got very experienced players, and unlike Mexico, through Lewandowski, Zielinski, they do have players who are capable of moments of magic to hurt them on the break, on the attack, and that is a situation that Argentina need to avoid, because if they drop points and Saudi Arabia beat Mexico, Argentina are still out of this World Cup. It's not at all over for the Albi Celeste, and Poland can do with a draw in that game.
And not over either for Saudi Arabia, who could perhaps make it through to the round of 16. We'll see how that goes. Speaking for teams, though, teams who are still in the game. Well, there was that first defeat for Australia, who got the best of Tunisia, meaning that the Socceroos could well go through also to the knockout rounds. Karim, the Australians, they were clearly fighting for this as if it was a final. Everything was there for them. They had that great goal from Mitchell Duke. They needed this. Otherwise, it was the next plane home for them.
Yes, exactly. That was a win or go home situation for the Socceroos, but they did it and they were clinical, such as Saudi Arabia in the first game against Argentina, such as other teams since the beginning of the competition. For small teams, they have to score when they can. And that's what happened early in this game against Tunisia. And so that was maybe too soon to forget them, because we thought after the blow against France 4-1 that it's over because they won't come back mentally and even in the way they defend their net. But finally we see that maybe they were just overwhelmed by France, because France was much so higher than Australia, obviously, but the gap between their levels were very huge. So in that case, against Tunisia, and I personally, as I follow African football, I'm very disappointed about Tunisia. They were the runner-up today. They were the favorite to win today, and for once that they have their status, they did nothing, and especially in the first half, that was better in the second half, but that wasn't enough to make Australia worried in this situation. So credits to the Socceroos.
Yeah, it's exactly. We're getting towards that tipping point of the competition, of course, to see who's actually going to be going through. Let's just take a quick look at some of the games to come tomorrow, because the day might be over for now, but there's another 4 games coming our way in not much time at all. One game that's going to have many eyes watching it is Spain, who take on Germany. On one side, there's the Spanish Giants, who come off that 7-0 win against Costa Rica, the biggest win in the tournament so far. But Germany, they're still, Karim, on 0 points.
Yeah.
That was a surprise loss, of course, to Japan.
Yeah, but I wasn't quite surprised about Germany. I didn't expect so much from Germany because they lack at some positions. Neuer is one of the best goalkeepers in the world, but he was injured for most of the season. The forwards as well. We don't have powerful forwards such as Thomas Müller, for example, and what Gundogan said after the blowout, after the defeat against Japan, saying that we shouldn't concede this goal. That was a childish goal almost on the defensive side of Germany. It says it all. I think there's a lack of cohesion as well, and it's going to be hard for Hansi Flick because the squad, I think, lacks of quality players. We're used to see efficient players, clinical players in Germany. That's not the case at all this year, so I'm quite worried. And the defense is quite old and is slow, so I'm worried for them against Spain.
And in a similar way, Belgium also, who had that lucky goal for them against Canada, but a similar profile when you look at it within the team. They're going to have to try and put on definitely a stronger performance, take on Morocco tomorrow. Bound to be a big game with the big Moroccan community, of course, within Belgium. We'll look forward to all of that tomorrow. Karim, thank you again for coming on. Thank you for watching. Join us at the same time and in the same place to preview everything in Qatar. Bye-bye for now.